It's all good. I was like, I'm trying to unmute you. Welcome everybody to Stream Key, a very professional show, by the way. This is our weekly show at TRUgaming where we talk to streamers about ways to improve on Twitch, and this is the Friday show, which means it's Phone In Friday. It used to be spelled with an F, but the true community revolted and rioted, and now it's back to the P, and I'm very sad. But it is Phone In Friday, and today's special guests, plural, are Dreamtrip and Azumatt. Dreamtrip's first time on the show. So Dreamtrip,
hey guys.
Welcome. How you doing today, man?
Doing good.
Yeah, finally excited to have you on.
Get up than normal, but doing good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I know it's early, but we're excited to have you on finally. It's been a little while. And Azumatt, welcome back for the second week in a row, man. I think the first guest that's ever done that.
I think that might be the first.
Yeah, besides Velok, of course, who's there. But yeah, guys, so if you don't know how this version of the show works, basically it is a call-in driven show or viewer driven show. If you are listening to the podcast, if you're watching, you can ask a question in the Twitch chat or via Discord if you want to get that answered about Twitch streaming, whatever, something that happened over the past week, a topic that you want to bring up, a take. You can also join our Discord to actually come on the show and ask us via the call. So we prefer those, and if you actually call in through the Discord, you get priority to come on the show. But if you can't get to a computer because it's the middle of the day on a Friday, I understand. You can ask in the chat. Just ask you to tag at GreenChord so I see it in big, bright red. But yeah, so really quickly, I do want to kind of introduce Dreamtrip because he's not been on the show before. Dream, do you kind of want to talk about your channel overall, what it's all about for people who don't know you as well?
We can. Started streaming almost 3 years ago, beginning of October, after pretty much a joke. I was a frequenter on the Football Manager streams that were on Twitch, and one of the bigger streamers and a friend of his were talking about, who was going to stream, and the one was like, well, why don't you stream tonight? And the other guy was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it tonight. And out of the blue, I was like, well, if you really want to stream, I'll do a stream tonight. And from that moment forward, I pretty much got hooked.
Awesome,
and
man.
Here we are now, almost 3 years later, and we're still alive and kicking.
3 years, yeah, that's awesome. And I know you've been getting a lot of traction on your channel recently, which is really exciting. Yeah. So, really nice. After about 2.5 years, I completely flipped the script on the channel. I used to be pretty much known as a Football Manager streamer. Yep.
And I completely turned that around when I learned of Russian Fishing 4, a game that since then came to Steam in early access. Not even completely done, but it's been a change for the better. It was a change that I absolutely had to make for the channel and for myself. I feel that I enjoy streaming a lot more since I made the switch. And it's absolutely been amazing.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, it sounds like you've really carved out a great niche for yourself in your stream. So I'm excited to see where you take it over the next couple months or so. So awesome.
It helps. It helps that the RF4 team has been amazing as well. Like developers and stuff. Been helping streamers in the beginning really a lot by sending them baits, sending them stuff to give away to the people that weren't streaming, and to help out other people. Then eventually they opened up sponsoring, and I became one of their sponsored streamers. And now at the moment I am one of 5 to 6 people that are hosting their official Golden Premium competitions.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So that is one of the really good things. And no, Beardy, definitely not the next England manager.
You never know, man. Could happen. Awesome. Well, so Azumatt again has been on the show last week, but again, you just want a quick introduction for yourself for those who aren't familiar.
Well, hello. My name is Azumatt, as he just said. I tend to stream. I'm not like Dreamtrip. I don't necessarily have like a niche. I'm more of a variety streamer. So that's kind of where I fall. I typically stream Overwatch and MMO games. So I'm starting to get back into MMO. That's the only reason I bring that up. So we're starting off with Neverwinter and Overwatch type games. So I don't really have too much other than pretty much that and the fact that I'm pretty cool. Check me out. Be awesome. Yeah. But sponsor streamer, as always. Dreamtrip is the amazing guy that's definitely taken off. And hopefully I can learn a lot from him today. So
Awesome.
We'll try.
Yep. All right. So good introductions all around. Azumatt, I do want to quickly mention to you, because you're going to kill me if I don't. Your mic is a little overblown right now, and I know that's going to annoy you in the end. So I don't know if you can do it right now, but I want to get into the show. So again, guys, if you want to join the Discord, if you want to come on the show and talk about something related to Twitch, it could be the Discover updates that just rolled out. It could be finding your own niche. It could be a certain streamer that you either love or hate. Whatever you want to talk about, you can come in and join us and talk about that. So the server link is in the chat. Just go ahead and join that, or you can just tag me in chat if you can't get to Discord for whatever reason. But before we do that, we're going to roll into some general Twitch news, or stream news really, over the past week or so. So there's a couple big things we want to talk about this week. One is Mixer. The first topic is going to be Mixer and their partner changes to their application process. 2 is TwitchCon, just really quickly going to run over that. And then 3 is some more Discover progress updates for the trailer board. So, okay. So, Stone just peeked into my room for 1 second there. So yeah, really quickly, the Mixer changes. So basically, Mixer came out this week and said that their partner program is changing in terms of the requirements for it. So if you want to be a partner on Mixer, there is no longer a concurrent viewer average requirement for it, which is really interesting. So, you know, Twitch is a big 75 golden number. There is technically no number on Mixer now. The requirements that you have to have now will actually go into effect on July 24th. So not here yet, but they will be. You have to have an account that's at least 2 months old, that has 2,000 followers. You have to stream at least 12 unique days in a month, and you have to have 25 hours total in a month. So those two end parts are similar to Twitch. But so again, these are follower and age numbers mostly, besides just you're sitting there and streaming. They did say, like, kind of in the fine print, that they still look at the viewer average, but on a game by game basis, or like content by content. So for Dreamtrip, for example, if you were streaming on Mixer and you were doing like Russian Fishing 4 and getting 70 plus people, but then you went to play some PUBG or something and that was only getting 12, in this environment, they would still look at the bigger game, I'm guessing, is how I'm reading this. And there's still not like a hard or fast requirement for it, but it's an interesting concept to me. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on whether this is a good system, whether it's not so great. I know we're primarily Twitch streamers, but it's still understandable for us. So I think maybe Dream, do you have any initial thoughts on that whole change?
I think it can be either a good or a bad thing. Like, there's pros and cons, like most things. The way Twitch is, I kind of look at it like you said, like, you're doing good over a long period of time. But I also know that, like, for Twitch, people are literally going for the guidelines, and they will go to a different channel to make sure that their numbers don't drop. I think it's amazing to be on Mixer and not having to do that. You can just stream on your own channel, do your own thing, without having to resort to things to get to the numbers that you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm streaming other things on a different channel right now, just so that my numbers don't drop for Russian Fishing.
Right, because it's all about that average on Twitch, right? Like, you have to keep it there.
It's all about the average. And, like, if I'm averaging 70 to 80 people while I'm fishing, and I play Diablo and I average 15, then it blows that number straight out of the gate. All the work that you put in, it doesn't matter how much work you put in, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the way it sounds on Mixer, it will be, well, you have to put in your hours, which for me is no problem. But on the other side, there might be some cons. Like, is it not too easy at that point to get partner?
Exactly. Like, does that dilute the value of partnership to the point where basically everyone can get it and it's not meaningful anymore? Yeah. I think I kind of tend towards that side of it where, like, I understand the perspective that Mixer has, and they're a smaller platform too, so that goes into it and factors into it. So on one hand, I think this will make people more interested in Mixer because they have like a real opportunity to get partnered. At the same time, I feel like if you're an existing Mixer partner, this feels awful. Like, because you had to go through those initial things, and then suddenly they just cut out that requirement. And as more and more partners come in, like, you lose that prestige. And then are they gonna have to make like a new program that's a step up or something? Like, I think that can create new problems when you were really trying to make it accessible to people. Like, there's always going to be a market for having a higher tier that's harder to get to, I think. That's my mind. And I think that sometimes it's good to have stuff that's not easy to get because that's what makes it valuable. But Azumatt, what do you think of this overall?
I honestly think it's a good direction. I personally think Twitch should honestly take it as well. And I understand your concerns, but what I'm getting out of what they're looking at as a game by game basis is not taking your higher game. I think that, in Dreamtrip's case, like, if he's an RF4, he's probably crushing that game directory, right? So he's in there, he might be first, second person in line, maybe even just in that first row of streamers streaming that game. So it's not that they're going to look at that versus, PUBG. Mm-hmm. It's more or less that they're going to look, are you crushing the game directory? And they should be a hell of a lot more clear about this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this is how I read it, was they're looking at the game directory and how good you're doing in that game directory versus something else. So they're going to use that as a part of your partnership to see if, in PUBG you went all the way down, but that's because it's not like your game.
Right.
And they'll understand that. So in a sense, they're looking at the bigger channel, but I feel like they're looking at the partnership requirements are how well are you doing in the games that you play. So
right.
I don't know. I think it makes it slightly more competitive while also not having to worry about a number.
Yeah. Do you think would you want to see this system on Twitch? Do you think, like, for you on your end, would you like this be a good thing to bring to Twitch too?
I think once it gets a little bit more clarified, yes, it will be awesome, because I think that will make it, personally, with like TRUgaming and other sponsors in general, it will make it harder for them to be able to monitor the same things that Twitch does, to choose and help make better, more informed decisions on who to sponsor, who to make like an affiliate of something or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. So I think if it's more clearly defined and Twitch can pull it off a little bit better than Mixer is at the moment, then yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested to get people's opinions from the chat too. Like, if you guys want to call and talk about this, I think this is a great topic to give like your side of it, and whether you think, Twitch should integrate this or Mixer's making a stupid mistake or whatever. I think it's a really good debate topic. So if you want to call in, where the server is. It's right there in the chat. So I'm going to leave that open-ended for now. We can come back to it if people want to talk about it. But let's move on to TwitchCon really quickly here. Tickets went on sale for that over the last week, which is exciting. And I know there's a couple here, people that are going. Azumatt's going, I believe. Yep. A bunch of us here in the True office are going. And I just want to quickly say we are doing like a True party for that. So if you're going to TwitchCon and you're in TRUgaming or listen to the podcast or whatever, there will be a party that you should come to on that Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Azumatt or Dreamtrip, have you guys ever been to TwitchCon before at all? Or a similar con? No?
No.
No cons?
It's just, yeah, exactly. No funds. It's me and the missus, me just streaming. Definitely not being able to do that full time. I have a side job on the weekends, but
right.
At the same time, it's the other side of the country. You have to get there
Yeah.
I'm pretty big, so most of the time, instead of 1 seed, I need to get 2 seeds. It's just how it is. But it's fun. It's plain and simple.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. Azumatt, have you been to? I mean, you've been to ECGC, I guess, but any big cons like that?
No, this is actually going to be like my first big con. And I think I've been saving up since the last TwitchCon to guarantee that I could go to this one. Because like I got really, really jealous about everybody going last year and all this stuff. So I wanted to make sure that every single TwitchCon, like I'm just saving up constantly. But first con, honestly, a little bit nervous about it, just because, everybody there, I've been told it's going to be fine. Like nobody's going to talk to you. We're all weird. And that's okay, but that's not why I'm there. My goal is to tap on your shoulder, be like, hey, you look kind of cool. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be weird about it, then I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know how I'm going to handle that, like when it happens. So
yeah,
that's.
I think it'd be cool to make like a guide to TwitchCon essentially before it hits. So we'll see if we can do something like that either on the podcast or in a video or
That'd
just
be cool.
guides to conferences in general, because I think that'd be a helpful topic. But yeah, just want to mention that, guys. October 26th to 28th. So it's coming. Get ready.
What about the developer day that starts?
Technically, that's the 27th or the 25th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Thursday before, so it's not going to be the Friday when it happens. The developer day is beforehand.
Right.
My fiance actually figured it out and saw that was going to be like a thing right before TwitchCon. And she was like, "Oh, you should go to this. Like, you're trying to be a software developer. You can go talk to people." So I don't know how that's going to work out, because I was like, we've already bought, the tickets. We've already bought like the hotel, done everything. And, I'm actually bringing my fiance with me. So
yeah,
I've paid for both her and me. And so that's going to be a little bit interesting due to the fact that like there's going to be places that I can go that she can't.
Yeah, as an affiliate and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, as an affiliate and as like, knowing a few people that can get me into other places. So it'll be very interesting to see that. Like I don't want to leave her behind. But she really wanted to go with me.
For sure. Yeah, I think if you're a developer, that day could be interesting to look at, but the conference itself was probably mostly from the 26th to 28th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that more as it gets closer probably too. But last thing I have here before we get into the viewer topics and calls is there's been like some very small Discover updates to the Trello board, which we've talked about for a couple weeks here. And actually, I should link it in the chat. I don't know if I still have it copied. I do not.
I do.
Okay, do you mind posting that in the chat really quickly so people can see what the heck we're talking about? Basically, this is Twitch's way of communicating the Discover updates they're making. They've come out and said they want to make it easier for streamers to get discovered on Twitch, and they have a couple ways of doing that. So overall, the new homepage is all rolled out. We talked about that last week, but there's a couple small things that they added like subtly over the last week. One is that the new homepage is out, but they've said now that they want to work on ways to let smaller streams get discovered. So if you've seen the homepage recently, it tends to be, at least from what I've seen, a lot of bigger channels that are featured, like streamers you may like, and it's all very large streamers, and which they kind of said like they wanted this to be a way for small streamers to get discovered. So I guess they're still trying to come back to the drawing board on that a little bit and see, okay, we have a step in the right direction. Now how can we keep making it better? That's all just like vague planning. They haven't really said anything about it yet. And then another weird thing I saw on that is they just added 2 images called Twitter timeline feed on the Trello board, and just pictures of like tweets basically from Twitch, and they haven't like explained it really that I've seen. My best guess is they're thinking of integrating a Twitter feed into the homepage of Twitch or something, depending on if you're logged in and maybe follow accounts. I don't know. They just posted 2 images, didn't give any context or anything, so there's something happening with Twitter and Twitch and Discover. What that is? That's
like if you at Twitch,
maybe
or like you do like a Twitch hashtag, maybe like you pop up.
I don't know. There was one picture of like a streamer, for example, tweeting out their schedule or something, and that was just something they added to the board. So I don't know if like streamers that you follow, you'll be able to see their Twitter feeds or something on there, or if it's like your Twitter feed. It's unclear to me whether that's how that's going to roll out, but it's good to know that Twitter is Twitch is thinking of Twitter. So if you're a streamer, I think you should start using Twitter more if you aren't already, because Twitch is going to use it. Anyway, that's all I saw from the Trello board. There's still stuff coming, like new notifications, redesigning the channel page. That stuff is in progress, so that should be the next month or so, and we'll talk about that when it goes live. But those are the big topics that I saw this week from Twitch, besides Streamer of the Year nominations, which we can talk about later too. That's sort of like its own topic. But yeah, I do see we have a caller, Bugs, so I'm gonna pull Bugs in here and see what he wants to talk about. Bugs, you there, my friend?
What? Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good morning.
Not a lot. I'm a big fan of the show.
Awesome. Glad to have you on, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Awesome. What do you want to talk about today?
1 second. I gotta hear you twice. I gotta mute your stream.
Oh yeah, it's all right.
Well, I was just wondering if you're willing to change the title of the stream. I've got a quite good one.
Okay.
What do you think of the receding hairlines? Or 2 out of 3 of us are eggheads.
I was waiting for that to happen. Yep. This is why I usually try to have MPI on the show. Guys, I do want to celebrate though. Of all the 41 episodes of the show, we have had our first troll. It took 42 episodes for this to happen. So I think we can have some claps in the chat, please. This is a defining moment of our career as streamers as this show progresses. So thank you for that.
I like it.
Also, I should probably see if MPI is around, so that doesn't happen as much. So let me send him a ping real quick, or maybe if Doc wants to hang around and do that as well. But yeah. Anyway, I did see a real topic submission from Jack the Streaming Snack, which is such a cool name here. It's a really big message. I'm gonna try and read through it a little bit here. Basically, his question relates to the lack of customization available to console streaming. While it was extremely simple to start streaming, I quickly found that I was very limited in ways that I could make my channel unique. Besides the chat bot, a spectator message on the screen, hosting charity tournaments, and a PS4 cam, there really wasn't much I could do. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is there, but okay, basically his question is, when they make the changes to the homepage, or the channel page on Twitch with the panels at the bottom there, do you think that's going to affect console streaming at all? And is there a way to kind of take advantage of that? So I don't know if you guys have done console streaming yourself back in the day. I know you're both PC streamers now.
I once in a blue moon I dip on Madden on Xbox. I've not really had a lot of problems. The biggest issue when you stream on console is you don't have, like, I have my computer in a completely different room. So the way for me to check with the chat is to have my phone up, have my stream up on the phone, and check the chat there. I don't know if it's something Madden related or anything, but I've had troubles with the cam when I had it on. It would just not, like, there would be tremendous lag on the game. Moment I turn it off, or sound issues. Moment I turn the cam off, everything is good. So I decided to, when I stream on Xbox, I don't use the cam. But I must say, like, the quality that I've seen coming from the Xbox on stream was pretty good. Didn't, like, other than that, I never really had a problem with it. Like I said, the only thing that I had problems with was getting the sounds figured out. Once that happened, everything was good.
Gotcha. Okay, so real quickly, I kind of read through a little bit more of his question. It makes more sense now. So basically what he was saying is, as streaming has grown over the past few years and getting really mainstream and very popular, and as consoles continue down the line, do you think streaming will affect the future of consoles? This is a really interesting question, actually, because I think he's right. Like, streaming's gotten very big. A lot of people do try to stream from consoles, but they're not very optimized for streamers, right? I mean, Twitch has kind of had to, like, do what they can for console streamers, and it's not great. But do you think, maybe Xbox X or whatever, like the next generation of consoles, do you think those will be more tailored to streamers? Like maybe having more customization options, or like better webcams that just come with the console? Do you guys think that could possibly happen? Maybe Azumatt, start with that.
I personally think that it already has. Just because like the streaming and everything is already on console, and they of course wanted it to be more of a social platform. So like you have a share button on PS4, you have, you know, if any of your buddies are streaming on Xbox, you can actually like find their stream usually in your dashboard of some type. Stuff like that. They come up with like the clips that you can post, things that try to, you know, allow you to be a streamer on console versus just having a PC. So I think that when the next console stuff comes out, that it will be maybe when, you know, the console comes in the box, it'll automatically give you like a high quality, you know, streaming camera, or maybe even they'll just give you something simple like they'll partner with Logitech or something, give you like a little C922 camera and throw it in there and be like, here, try it out. And they'll give you maybe you could bundle it together with like a smaller PC that can handle like just OBS and some overlays. They might do stuff like that, because I know you can buy like the little PCs that are, you know, like 8x8. They're just basically just a graphics card and like a smaller motherboard and all that stuff. So maybe they're like, hey, for an extra $300, you can get this PC as well, and that's how they're just gonna like sell really, really quick. I personally think that it's going to be interesting to see what the next generation of stuff is, just because of that, and because streaming is becoming so big. And of course, you'd be kind of dumb not to capitalize on it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think consoles should think of it if they aren't already, especially like, I mean, Nintendo's really doing nothing with this. PS4 and Xbox are at least trying to jump on the bandwagon, and Xbox has the whole mixer thing that they're trying to do that's different. So I think, like you guys have said, and people in the chat have said, like Mixer and Xbox are kind of doing this already, and to the point where you start up Xbox and Mixer's right there. I think it's like maybe right there when you boot up the console now, if I remember right. But yeah, I think there's definitely not a room to add ease of use to people who are not familiar with streaming to get a good stream going out of the box, because it's not very easy or intuitive to do right now. You have to do a lot of research. I think there's a way that Xbox and PS4 or whoever can make it so people who are brand new to streaming can open up a PS4 or Xbox and start streaming and have something really good. So that, you know, you have to strike the balance between making something that's easy to do as well as making it well done, if that makes sense. So
that makes sense.
And I think that'll get better over time. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I'm sure the geniuses over there will be thinking about that, or they should be if they want to market their product. So yeah, that's a really good question though. I do appreciate that. Jack the Streaming Snack, such a cool name. I saw another one way up here somewhere from Lightweight Lander. Actually, I think he was just commenting maybe on what we were talking about, so not a question. Anyway, guys, if you have a question for us, just tag it in the chat or submit it in Discord, and we'll try to get to it. Again, if you did ask a question, I didn't see it for whatever reason, just make sure you tag me, because that's how I see it. So the Streamer of the Year nominations. Did you guys hear about this at all? I think this came out yesterday, maybe. Yeah. So
naturally, like the ones that you think would make it are on that list. So.
Yeah, pretty much. This is like the esports awards, I guess it is. Some sort of award ceremony thing. I only heard about it last year. Dr. Disrespect won this title last year. I don't know exactly who runs it, but it's sort of like a fun little contest with the community. And there's, again, like Azumatt said, a lot of the names you'd expect to see there. Ninja, of course, Stroud, Dr. Disrespect.
Summit 1G. Yeah,
Tyler 1, Pokimane. Some others I can't remember. But there are a few surprising things I didn't see. Like Tim the Tatman wasn't on there. That was kind of surprising.
I thought he was.
Or Dr. Lupo. I'm trying to think of anybody else that should have been on there, didn't make it. Like Lyric wasn't on there, but yeah, I think to me, I sort of feel like I know who's gonna win it. Just off the bat, and I think most people kind of agree with that, but I was curious to see if you guys had any thoughts on that contest overall or the nominations.
I don't know. I think that I don't know their ways of kind of gauging who's the best streamer of the year. I suppose just because I don't necessarily follow that. I realize it's probably been around for a while, but I don't know what they're gauging to classify you. Like, that's why when you said Tim the Tatman's not on there, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because, you know, everybody knows his name. Like, if you don't watch him, you at least know his name. Just like, you know, Ninja or Summit 1G or whatever, like, they're on that list because you already know their names without ever really having to tune in. If you're on the platform, like, you automatically know who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think that you can narrow it down to one streamer, end all be all, but they already did it with Dr. Disrespect last year. So
yeah, it's true.
I want to kind of look into that and see what the requirements are and how they're choosing.
Sure.
Because I don't know, maybe they'll choose Azumatt next year.
You never know. It could happen. Yeah, I don't know exactly the criteria, like you said. That's a good point. My guess would be like streamers that just have a big impact in the past year or so, or like maybe they grow a lot, or they do things that stand out. Because some of these names have been around for a long time, but that would sort of be my guess. I don't know how you like exactly define that, but that's, yeah, I don't know. Dreamtrip, do you follow this at all or interested in it?
I don't follow it. Like, to me, it's just, you know, who is the most popular guy or girl on Twitch? Like, it's like, it's all politics. Like, stream politics to me. Like, I do my thing. Because I do my thing as much as I do, I don't really have much time to do anything around it. But it's like, best streamer. How do you, like you said, how do you define who's the best streamer? Like,
yeah,
somebody that nobody ever heard of can be a better streamer than any of the top dogs, but nobody knows them. So, like, in the end, it's just how popular are you on Twitch, and if you're really popular, you're on that list.
Yeah, I kind of like compare it to movies, I guess, because that's the only other example, or like, you know, awards shows with music and stuff, like that's all subjective too. So I guess that's sort of what they're modeling it after, and I don't know the criteria in those things either. I'm sure there's like artistic value and whatever, so maybe there's different values they judge it on for this competition too. But I think it's exciting they're doing it regardless. I think it's kind of cool to celebrate streamers overall, and just in this industry. So I think it's a good thing in the end.
It's nice to have, but the question is, like, when you're looking at the Oscars, they also look at like the lower end of the movies. Is Twitch really looking at the smaller streamers?
Well, there's also a lot less competition too. You know, I mean,
true.
There's not millions of movies that come out in a year. So,
I agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a cool thing. So.
Yeah, I agree with dear Sean.
Right.
Maybe the title is misleading.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. Maybe, is it just best streamer of the year, basically? Yeah. So I guess they could well define it a little bit more, but they really only have one streamer award anyway. So maybe they should like split it up into multiple categories, like best comedy streamer, best, I don't know, best like persona. In an ideal world. Yeah. Something like that would be kind of cool. All right, so we have some more questions coming out from the Discord I want to get through here. Clicksticks, fan of the show, says, what do y'all think of game-specific branding, assuming you work your personal logo in? For example, while playing Sea of Thieves, your overlay and alerts are pirate-themed, but Fortnite will feature a completely different color scheme and look. Would you recommend sticking with one look or appealing to your current audience in this way? So have you guys ever experimented with like really going hard around branding around a game you're into? Because I know Dreamtrip talked about being, okay, go ahead.
Like, I'm trying at the moment to get away from it. Like, I'm looking for, you know, new graphics and stuff, because everything pretty much on my channel is still branded towards Football Manager. If you look at my offline screen, it's like in the background is the Amsterdam Arena, because I'm an Ajax fan. my shirt is kind of, and I'll show the print that's hanging here. This was kind of, I don't know how well you can see it.
It's coming in.
But this was custom made for me by, the logo was custom made by a follower from me. And then what happened is it's kind of the Ajax logo, but instead of the head of Ajax, it has my head with the headset on in there. So yeah, everything that happened in my channel, it was pretty much all Football Manager. Now that I'm doing Russian fishing, I'm kind of wanting to overhaul the channel. I already have a new overlay, but eventually I do need to get like a new, at least offline screen. The going live is not that like deep, so there's not really anything there that I have to change. But I definitely want it to be more centered around Russian fishing at the moment. And then if at some point that might die down, then I can always look what I'm doing at that point. It's not that hard to get some things changed.
Gotcha. So, but you do like to brand around a certain game that you're into, basically?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Have you ever had like a more generic brand that you moved away from, or have you always sort of built your stream around the game you're playing?
Pretty much. I had some other games that I played in the meantime. Overlays and stuff I adjust, because one overlay might not work for a different game. Like when I'm playing PUBG, an overlay that I'm using on, for instance, well, it's easy. Like every game has a different layout, and I kind of want my overlay to make sure that, you know, you're not in anything important in the game. Like your health bar in PUBG, you want that visible for your viewers. You want your teammates, if you're playing with teammates, to be visible. So certain spots in the game on screen are just not like prime territory that you shouldn't touch with a cam or anything else. So I do try to make it specific for a game that I'm playing, so that stays the way it is and that everybody can see the important stuff in the game. Graphics outside of that, I really didn't change after I got what I have right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, you've kept that red color pretty consistent across everything. Yeah, I think it's important that you've at least had that continuity, and that's pretty iconic for you, I think. Azumatt, I know you've gone back and forth with branding, but have you ever branded around a game specifically or anything?
Yeah, I do this in a sense. Like during my, starting screens or whatever, like I'll cater it towards the game. Like I'll do like a GIF or something that displays based on the game that I'm about to play. That way, you can watch it or something. Like sometimes I'll do a video. I'm more leaning towards like dropping a video in there and having something to watch while the countdown happens. That way you can be like, you can know the game. Like for instance, as I said, I've been getting back into Neverwinter, and I played this game for a really long time on PS4. But now I'm switching to PC, so I'm pretty much starting from scratch because nothing transfers. So what I'm trying to do is I'm actually going to start with like a video of kind of, where in general, like where I started versus what's happening now, and maybe like a little bit of the content to kind of fill that 5 minutes before stream actually goes live. And that's kind of how I brand towards a game. But overall, I have a generic brand. I think that's probably the best thing that you can do, just because when people see you, they know it's you versus, they might not recognize your face. Like people are bad with faces. So they could recognize your branding before they recognize your face. And, they could pop into a different game category and they're gonna be like, oh, your overlay has changed. I didn't even know you were the same person. And I think keeping some kind of continuity, kind of like Dreamtrip's red, is very, very good choice that you can make. I know that ClickSticks also said that his colors pop, like, is it how important it is to have colors
that was
pop in your branding?
One of his follow-up questions was how important is it to have colors that pop in the branding.
Yeah. So, and then he was like, people like his black and orange better versus his white and black.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as long as it's working for you, you can choose whatever color you need. So generic branding is, in my opinion, the best, but Dreamtrip obviously disagrees. He wants to go based off of, what game he's playing. And that, I mean, I'm doing that to some degree, just not as full as he is. So I think it can work either way, as long as you make that a part of your actual brand.
Right.
Like, just if you start doing it, make it consistent. If you don't start doing it and you want to keep the generic brand like me, I would recommend choosing that. But if, as far as colors that pop in your branding, honestly, I would, if you like the clean black and white, make that your brand. You don't always have to appeal to everybody else. That's
true. That's a fair point. Also, by generic, I think it's important that people realize that doesn't mean boring. That means like not attached to a certain game. Your brand should still be very interesting and defining and whatever, but doesn't have to be tied to a game. But yeah, I think the question of whether a brand should pop with color is really interesting. I think it should, personally, and like pop is subjective. I mean, black and white can still pop to a sense if it's like very sleek and nice looking, or however you want to do it. But so I think Velok, for example, used to have like a blue and light blue color scheme, which was interesting. But then he shifted to a blue and yellow color scheme specifically to try and get his brand to pop more. And that has worked well for him. I've seen it work well for others. I mean, another blue and yellow ninja. Like, there's all these. This goes into like color theory and all that sort of stuff. But contrasting colors help stuff pop a lot. And so just taking a little time to think about what colors you want to use for your brand is important to make sure they're distinct and that you use them consistently. So Dreamtrip, for example, using his big bright red on everything is very distinct. It's over his walls, it's on his shirt, on his logo, etc. That stands out, and he uses that across everything over the years. Even Azumatt has the same colors, like the blue and black kind of is what I see your channel as a lot of, or the cyan and black. That's kind of like neon-y, and that stands out in my mind. So just figuring out what you want that to be, and then sticking with it or iterating on it and expanding on that over time, I think is a good path to go down. So, but great question, ClickSticks. I appreciate it, man. I really do. Jack, actually, let's go to Pudek, another great name, in the chat had a question, who said, with gaming growing and becoming more digital, what do you and the guys think on games becoming cross-platform, and do you think that older games should be released with modern graphics updated? Interesting. So those are kind of two questions. The first one is cross-platform games. And this isn't really streaming as much as just gaming in general, but do you guys think that cross-gaming either should or will become more of a thing in the future, cross-platform gaming? So we're already seeing a little bit of it with Fortnite and stuff like that, but do you think that will kind of become the standard moving forward? Or do you think the game industry will kind of never let it get there?
It's a tough one. I think it depends on the genre of the game. Like, I think an MMO would be amazing cross-platform. A shooter, I'm not really certain about that. Like, I've heard it a lot, and I do agree with it, that most of the time people on a PC are faster than a person on console. Of course, you have your professional gamers. They'll be good anywhere. But yeah, to me, it just, I think it will get bigger than it is now. But I just don't see how it's possible in every single gaming genre.
Yeah, it's tough because I think it is like the ideal situation, but I think the game industry is just going to fight it forever, with maybe the exception of PC. And I think it is interesting to look at how PC gaming is affecting console gaming. That's important to look at because PC gaming is growing a significant amount for like the everyday user. So like Fortnite being the prime example of, you probably know some people that have switched from console to PC, even just a simple PC to play Fortnite or some other game. So that takes the cross-platform issue out of the question when you're on PC. But I think cross-platform will continue to become more prevalent in games on consoles, but I don't think it'll ever be the standard, just because Sony really is the big issue. I don't think they're ever going to let it happen. That's just my thought on it, because they've come out and said. But yeah, I don't know. Azumatt, what do you think in general of that?
I do think that. Sorry, I'm a little distracted at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
But I do think that cross-platform is going to be. It's going to be a thing, because think about it, they can monopolize it. You know, if you get both companies working together, they're obviously going to want to be separate. And right now, Sony is kind of pushing back. But I do think that, you know, Fortnite's already started it, and it's blown that game up. You know, because people can play, and then they're like, you're not defined to one thing, and it makes it easy. I think if they want to try and monopolize it, I don't think it'll become one big entity. I just think that it'll be kind of like an alliance between all three, and they're gonna be like, all right, this game for this amount of months is going to be crossplay, but we're still going to have our exclusives, but they're all going to work on a game together to ensure that it's a decent crossplay. So like they kind of did with Fortnite, but I feel like that's just kind of a thing that just happened. They were like, hey, we want to make this crossplay, we want to do this. But I think if they actually start to work to make it crossplay, and of course with feeding into the question earlier about how streaming's becoming bigger, with it becoming more of a crossplay thing, and that combined, I feel like they are going to allow multiple, you know, streamers, like somebody streaming from PS4. You're going to have more interaction, because you're going to have more people on PC that are playing with you. So I hate to say it, but PC people can multitask a lot easier than people on like console, because people on console, you know, they're going to have to look at their phone on chat, or look at phone for chat, or they're going to have to do something else. So they're not able to really kind of interact. And I think that the extensions are also going to tie into that. Crossplay in general, I do think that it's not necessarily going to be monopolized into one company, but I do think that they are going to make that a thing. It's going to happen. It's going to become one big thing, and certain games are going to be thrown into that category of, you know, we want a bunch of people to play this game, so we're going to make this crossplay. Yeah,
I think as long as the exclusives are still there, it might happen, I guess. I think the reason that it's not happening for Sony is, like, the idea is, so let's say you play PS4 and you want to play a game with your friend who's on Xbox, and your friend can't play it. Well, to play it, he has to go buy a PS4. So, boom, Sony just made money because they convinced you to sell to your friend, essentially. But maybe you actually make more money in the long run by letting crossplay happen, and then the people play it together longer, and they, you know, spend more money on games or something or whatever. You might actually make more money in the long run by turning on crossplay and just having people play your system more with their friends right away, instead of having to go through like a $300 barrier to entry. So I don't know, it's an interesting science experiment kind of thing, but I hope Sony does it. We can only pray that they will do so. We'll see. But I appreciate the question again, Jack Streaming Snack. Some good questions this week. I appreciate it. Actually, that was from Podek. Sorry, we will go to Jack's question now. So Podek, thank you for the question. And Jack said in the Discord again, regarding the Twitch affiliate program, I can understand why the partners were upset, but was that the general consensus across Twitch? So basically, this is his question. When affiliate launched, a number of partners were upset that affiliate launched because they felt like it kind of diluted the value of partnership. But that wasn't every partner, and that wasn't everyone on Twitch. What did you guys think of that whole debacle, basically? Because this is like, how long has it been that affiliate's been out? Like a year or two? I kind of lose track.
A year and 3 months.
Okay.
Yep.
So looking back now, do you still see any people that are kind of not resentful, but like look down on affiliates, or feel like they've had some of their pie of Twitch taken away by affiliates? Just because I know that was very rampant when the affiliate program launched, but I haven't really seen a ton of it. I don't know if you guys have still seen some resentment around that since then.
Dreamtrip, do you want to take it?
Yeah, not really. Like, I'll be honest, when the affiliate program came out, I was angry. I wasn't a partner at that point or yet, but to me, like, to get into the affiliate program it was like, I've seen people that never streamed come on Twitch, and a week later they're affiliate. Yet at the same time, people putting in the time, like, and White Shadow was right there with me probably, and a lot of other guys that are with True and girls. It's like, we've put in the time, we've put in the hours, and then to see somebody that just starting and pretty much getting exactly what a partner streamer would get, but just a little less than that. That was like, to me, it was like, how is it possible to get such a good deal when you not really have put any time in it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's be honest. They asked for a month of streaming, 25 hours. Like, after you put in a lot of time yourself, it's kind of like, how is it this easy? Like, I'm just looking. I looked at my own numbers and I was like, okay, this is just, it's too easy.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, nobody's really talking about it anymore. It might get flamed again when the affiliates get their sub badges.
Oh yeah.
And the other perks that are coming, but so far I haven't really heard anything bad about it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think it's pretty much died down. And like we talked about before, it's like the same idea that someone else can steal your viewers, like that. We always just talk about that and meme on that, but yeah, I mean, clearly, like, subs or partners are still on Twitch. They haven't gone anywhere. The affiliate program has not put them out of business. I would be interested to see how the Mixer changes kind of mirror this thing that happened, basically, because so Mixer partners are actually getting people to come into their tier at the same level, whereas partners were somewhat affected by affiliates who were a little bit lower. Mixer partners are now going to have new partners flooding into the system that are at the same level as them, but theoretically didn't have to put in as much work. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see backlash from that front, but I still think like the same rule still applies. Just because you're a partner and now everyone else is getting a partner doesn't mean that your viewers are gone. So I don't know if anyone here is from Mixer and wants to talk about it. Azumatt, I don't know if you have anything to say on this one.
I do see a lot of backlash currently, just because there's a personal opinion, and I'm completely biased when it comes to this. There's a lot of toxic partners still, and I don't want to say that as like partners as a whole, because there's a ton of good ones, and I do think that they outweigh the bad ones. I just do think that there is a thing that is a toxic partner, and they don't want to see Twitch grow as a community, and grow in general, because for them, they're like, oh, I got here, I put in all this work and I'm here, and then now you're taking half of what I've earned, but for maybe a quarter worth of the work. And that makes sense in that aspect, but you got to understand that they're bringing more people onto the platform to make it bigger. That way, what most of the partners that are thinking like that don't realize is they're adding more benefits to you guys. Like, eventually it's going to happen. I mean, you got to give them some time. I mean, they're working on the affiliates right now. And that's kind of like their main goal, because they want to get as many more people in as possible. That way the community itself grows. There's more content available. That way Twitch becomes a more, fighting force as opposed to Mixer. They want more people on their side, power in numbers. So then they're going to start adding more perks to partners. Like, I mean, for TwitchCon perk, like, you don't have to wait in a 3-hour long line. I think that's a really good perk, as you could just pretty much just walk in there into like the partner lounge or something like that. Like, affiliates get access, but you got to understand that you pretty much can walk straight in there. You've got plenty of benefits. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have, like, we're getting sub badges, and there's a ton of backlash on that. Just because they're like, well, what's the point? But you get 25 emotes, 30 emotes based on how many subscribers you have. we get 3.
Yeah.
You know, like we have the sub badge, sure, but I mean, what's the sub badge really doing other than someone gets something next to their name? But who's to say that they're going to choose that? I mean, you've got a moderator with, you know, for example, White Shadow right now. He's got the sword and the bit badge. So what if he wanted to use TwitchCon badge? Then it'd be the sword and then TwitchCon badge. Or, you know, if he's a mod in general, he might not even have the sub badge, so to speak, to show up as well.
Right.
You know, it won't be as prominent. It's not really a thing necessarily that's going to be a game changer. It's just they're giving us similar perks but less influential perks. In my opinion, like sub badges is really cool. Like everybody's like, yeah, that's fantastic, it's great, it's better than a little star. But does it really change anything?
Yeah.
Is it really hurting you as a partner? If it is, I think you need to redefine how you think as a partner, of what's hurting you. It's the same thing of, you know, stealing viewers and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm very, very biased when it comes to.
No, this is good. I like to hear this. I think you brought up a good point. Sub badges, I could see definitely causing some backlash from existing partners, because that's another thing they're taking away from us partners or whatever. I mean, this sounds bad because we're all affiliates, just yelling at partners, but I think that's a very minority in terms of partners that are upset about it. From what I've seen, the most of them don't seem to care as far as, but there definitely are toxic partners out there, just like there are toxic affiliates and toxic no names out there, just part of gaming in general and part of the internet. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a problem really going forward, like because it's such a minority. I think Twitch has to like walk the line between locking things for no reason to make partners happy, and then also just letting everyone have something really awesome. And that's sort of like you have that same balance as, you know, a streamer trying to give like your subscribers perks or something. Like it's a really tough line to walk between just giving people really cool stuff for free versus like putting it behind either like a paywall or you must be this cool wall. So I think Twitch is making the right decision by trying to just roll out cool stuff, not saying, well, this is going to make some people angry, so we're not going to do it. Like, I think they're making the right choice. So
while we're still on this topic, I think that you might be able to weigh in like your own personal opinion on this, because of the true sponsored versus true affiliate. It's technically like, you know, it's pretty much the same tier worth of stuff. Like, how hard is it to walk that line right now, you know, in general, as like a true community or anything like that? You got to think about, you know, how many affiliates there are versus how many sponsors, and like what benefits are happening and how hard it is to actually walk that line. And then you're going to see it more or less based on Twitch. So do you have any kind of, I realize this is more of a question for you.
No, it's okay. It's a good question.
But do you have any kind of input that's, I don't know, valid to the topic?
Yeah, I mean, we have like basically like a microcosm of Twitch in our community, with sponsored streamers kind of being equivalent to partners on Twitch, and then affiliates obviously being equivalent to affiliates, like on a one-to-one level. So I definitely feel some of the struggle there in terms of the biggest thing is probably just sponsor growth. Because one big piece of feedback we've heard loud and clear is that like sponsorship is getting more diluted as people join, which I agree with, and we see that. And there's not like an easy solution to it, because like I was just saying, like we want to keep sponsoring people as much as we can because we think it's an awesome program. We think people get a lot out of it, but at the same time, we don't want to devalue our existing sponsors to the point where it doesn't mean anything anymore and they don't feel special. So, man, it's such a tricky line to walk. And that's sort of why we rolled out the affiliate program in the meantime, because that's a way we can still get cool perks out to people who are supporting the community without devaluing sponsorship so much. So in that way, we've kind of taken some lessons from Twitch, but for sure it is still like a work in progress, and we'll see what we can get to later on. I don't have an exact answer for that, because I mean, if Twitch can't figure out the answer to it, then we probably can't, but we're thinking every day about how to address that and have some plans for stuff going forward. So I appreciate the question, though. It was a good topic, good segue. I feel really bad because Diebear has been sitting in chat, or sitting in the Discord. I was just about to grab him and he popped out. So Diebear, I don't know if you still want to come on Discord and ask your question. I will literally grab you as soon as you come in if you want to. So you're asking a question there.
Just
there he is. There he is.
Surprise, Diebear is a female.
Oh, okay. Bear, welcome to the show. How's it going?
All right. Thank you. Good. Nice to finally talk to you.
Yeah, glad to have you on. How you doing?
Good. So, thank you, Azumatt, first of all, because I joined Binks like during last week's podcast, and I got raided the next day. And I met two really cool streamers who I'm now going back and forth with quite frequently, and the one encouraged me to join a community that's mostly veterans, which is why he encouraged me to join. 2 days later, he encouraged me to apply for the stream team, and I didn't really know what that was. I looked at their website and everything, but then like yesterday, I started noticing stream team tags under the different streams. So my question is, what does being a part of a stream team entail, and what should one consider when choosing a team?
Good question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, so I know Azumatt's on our stream team. At Dreamtrip, are you on any other stream teams besides the True one?
Only True team.
Okay. Well, so I guess you're both talking from the True perspective, but maybe you guys have looked for teams too, or known people who have been in that experience with bad teams. Do you want to talk about like what she said, basically like ways to find a good team and what to watch out for and look for?
Go ahead, Azumatt.
Yeah, so I have, they don't stream anymore. Life kind of got in the way, but they were doing very well on Twitch. I'm not going to point out their names, but it's a husband and wife kind of duo. They had their own separate channels, but they streamed a lot together. One of them, the female in particular, the wife, she accepted an invite to a particular stream team. Again, I'm not going to point out names or anything like that, but be careful and talk to them first and kind of know what they're doing, kind of look at their past and history, because when she joined the stream team, they tend to they sexualized her a lot. They were, posting pictures of, her, and then but it's more or less the comments on how they were treating her and saying stuff like that. Because it was a smaller stream team, there was, like one, maybe two people in charge. And those people, they were trying to sexualize her and capitalize on that. And they're like, oh, we got like this pretty amazing, very hot wife person on our stream team. Yay, awesome, enjoy. And they were trying to capitalize on that more so than they were trying to say, hey, she's a part of our stream team. Check her out. She's awesome. She's cool. And that's like, they ended up leaving that stream team. They bounced between 3 stream teams before they found one that actually treated her like a person. So I would say in just their experience, not necessarily my own, because again, I'm speaking through only the True experience, and that's just because True community is awesome. So I haven't really had that issue, but I do know that as a female, and since you are a female, Bear, that I would look at like their history based on how they are treating female streamers, get a feel for them first before you try to apply.
Okay.
Just because they will, regardless of how you look, what you feel like, what you think that they may be pointing you in the right direction, just be sure that they're not going to try and sexualize you or put you down just because you are of the female gender, or really anything. I mean, it can go to males too. I highly doubt they're going to sexualize a male, but it's going
I feel a lot with the sexual issue, so I have a zero tolerance for that on my stream, and
I'm just warning you that there are stream teams out there that will can and will potentially do that to you, maybe even a guy, but in a different sense. Just be sure that if you sign up for a stream team, make sure it's somebody that you want to represent, and that you've been around them for a while. I wouldn't make that a hasty decision.
Yeah.
Did she see any signs, like beforehand, looking back? Did she see anything that may have her?
From what I was told, she did not, but that's because they were deleting a lot of their tweets. So if it's a stream team that's claiming to be a decent stream team, they would delete anything that regarded a female on their Twitter, because once they sexualized her and then she kind of like backlashed them, all of the tweets were deleted, so we couldn't, screenshot them and be like, hey, they're, treating her like crap.
Of course.
So naturally, I would look, and this is the thing that I would look at is how many females are on that stream team. Take a look at if there's, if they're super, super pretty, like how they're treating them. If there is a tweet there that exists, whether they're deleting them or not, but just, I would look at, how many females are on that stream team, how they are tweeting, some of the words that they use. I realize that this is very vague, but just kind of get a feel for them. Talk to the leader if you potentially can, if it's a smaller stream team. Get a feel for him as a person. If he, freaks out because you're a female gamer and female Twitch streamer, like, and that's like his first reaction and his mind's blown, then most likely don't go to that stream team.
Okay, great. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would say too, with all this, like, just take time, like Azumatt said, to make sure that it's a stream you want to go into, because you'll see a lot of teams like change from week to week. Especially, I see a lot of communities that will have like 2 weeks of just like insane hype, and the entire community is just nuts, and they're so excited, everything's great, and then like week 3, it just dies, just goes to like nothing, because they just burn really fast, real bright, and then nothing happens after that. So be careful of like these hype bubbles that I see a lot on Twitch with communities. Like, you guys probably know communities that have blown up, and like everyone's talking about them, and then a week later, you've not heard of them in forever. Like, they're just gone. So be aware of that. And also with teams in particular, make sure that they're not to just promote the person at the top. Because I see a lot of that too, where it's really just like a badge that the top streamer uses to like show off something they have. And like, yes, you're on a team as a streamer, which is kind of cool, but I don't know. I have a personal problem with any communities that are branded, not any, but like some communities out there that are branded around a single person. And it's like, that person kind of uses other streamers to bring themselves up, and that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know about you, that's a personal decision, but the biggest part of that is just making sure that like there is networking within the team, that there's like some cross networking and promoting and helping, that you guys are doing things together as a team, like functioning as a real team, and not just having a team on your profile that means nothing. Those are all really important values, I think, of a good team that is working together to get somewhere. So that's what I would say on that. I don't know if Dreamtrip has thoughts on it so far, but
yeah, well, I've only been in the True team, and I will say this: since True team has started, I have seen a lot more auto hosts in particular, coming in than before that. Like, before that, it would be once in a while there would be an auto host or a host, but now it's like, I have mindset to whichever person of the team is on to get a host to them. When I wake up in the morning, I see that, one of the true gamers is on the host most of the time. And I think that for True itself is just a really, really good thing. And it's a great way to help the other family members out as well. Like, as True, we're all trying to get to that purple tick. Let's be honest. Like, most people just, the people that have been in it for a long time, eventually their goal is that tick. And I do think, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially the sponsored streamers, that's a big part of why I pick sponsorship people, because I do want to clarify that, like, probably not everyone's goal is to get partnered on Twitch, but the majority of people we sponsor, like, that's a reason, because we know this person wants to go big with Twitch, and we're going to try and help them get there. So continue. Sorry.
Yeah. And like, helping each other, getting those auto hosts, it might not be something that you think is big, but every viewer counts. So every single little view that you get, even if it's from an auto host, it does help grow your channel. Because that person that was lurking in the stream might actually come back, see your stream, and be like, hey, this actually might be something I'm interested in, and come to your channel the next day. So I do think, especially, like I said, I only have the experience with True. It's working. It's working for me, and I hope it's working for the other people that are in the True team as well.
Awesome. Diebear, anything else you want to ask or anything to follow up?
No, I just want to say thank you for posting the podcast on Stitcher because that allows me to very easily listen to them in the car.
Of course. I like to try to put it everywhere that we can. So I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. Thanks for the call.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. See you later.
See ya.
That's such a good call. Okay, so Greenja, finally saying her name the right way, I believe. I had a question back in there. Not right? Gringa. Gosh darn it. I still mess it up, man. I get it wrong every single time. I was like, I got to focus on the green, but it's the J, the G. Gringa. Had a question who said, I know it will be different for everyone, but can you discuss what you did to gain your followers and what you are doing to grow your viewership? I know a broad subject, but some tips for noobs like me would be great. Interesting. So this is like kind of a 101. How did you get to where you are, and what are you doing to keep your current viewers part of your stream? I do want to clarify that like I am not a big streamer these days. I stream when I can. So I want to definitely go into depth with this on Azumatt and Dreamtrip. Maybe Azumatt, you want to talk about this one first?
Yeah, so I'm not going to be as good of a resource as Dreamtrip might be at the moment because he's constantly growing, and I am too, but a little bit at a slower rate. So the things that I do as far as, you know, trying to keep people, trying to grow my followership, stuff like that is, as Diebear said, I use Binks, which kind of gets eyes to the channel, but it's my job to catch them. And that's what I said in the last podcast. So I would try to implement something that kind of gets your face everywhere. Start talking to more streamers on social media, start going into other people's streams, whatever you can to kind of get your face out there as a person, not necessarily as a streamer. Make connections. That's always where it's at. And Gringa, as you know, making friends and then having those friends come back to your stream and coming and supporting you, even if it's only for 10 minutes, it helps. So you're doing a very good job at, you know, networking and everything. And I do think that it always goes back to networking. It's how you talk to people. Are you talking to them as a streamer? Are you talking to them as a person? Or are you talking to them as, you know, whatever else you want to throw in there? But what I tend to do is I do a lot of networking in the background. As I said in the last podcast, I love DMs. And, you know, you got blown up with a bunch of DMs for me. And I've stopped by your streams. I've come in there and hang out. And it's just because I enjoy you as a person. And it's not necessarily that, you know, I super adore the games that people are playing, but I'm there for them. And that's the particular reason why I watch streams. Is I'm there for that person. I like your personality. I like the way you talk to me, stuff like that. And that's what keeps me watching. But as far as to grow my own viewer base, what I try to do is give back as much as possible. Any kind of revenue that comes in, for me, it's an instant giveaway. Like I'm like, hey, this revenue came in. I'm going to take like 25% of it, 75%, boom, is straight to a giveaway. And that's just to give back. I also, you know, check out some avenues like you and I have talked. You've asked me about my website like 3 times. Pretty much, I made a website. That's the direction I chose to go to be able to give back to some of the viewers, is to throw them up on the website, let people have kind of like a one-stop shop as far as where to go, who I'm sponsored by, what my community is about, when my next stream is. My stream's on there, my subscriber streams are on there, and then there's soon going to be a community page that gives back to, you know, like the person each month, each week, whatever. Still ironing that out on how I actually want that to be implemented, but always come up with a way to support the people that are supporting you, whether that's going into their stream or that is, you know what, hey, I'm going to praise you on social media for a week straight just because you've been super awesome. Doing stuff like that and showing love back to your community is the easiest way to grow in general.
Yeah.
Because if you appreciate the people that are there, they will come back and you will potentially get noticed simply because of how you're treating your community. And again, how you're talking to them. So if random people are stopping by and just lurking and watching, but they see that you're crap talking a person that's been there for a while, even whether it's playful or not. And I don't know, just talk to them the way you want to be portrayed, and people will find you in general because of that.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really key there, which is basically if you want people to come by your stream and like consistently come back to it and watch it and get value out of it, you have to give some value to people back. So like if you want people to take time out of their day to watch you, you have to give them value consistently. Whatever, it could be social media, like Azumatt said, just like talking to them and praising them or whatever, or just messaging them and saying like, what's up, how you doing? I think that's like one of the keys of just really building your core audience is finding out the best way you can serve other people. Because again, like you have to have a reason for them to want to come watch you and want to come take time out of their day to come watch you. I think that's, I keep saying that, but I've just really been thinking about that a lot lately. So, but Dreamtrip, I'd love to get your thoughts on this topic as well.
Yeah, great topic, great question. To me, it was, I pretty much got sick and tired of the job that I had. I was an inventory supervisor. Got sick and tired of how things were run, and I quit my job. While looking for another job, I found Twitch, and I started watched a lot until about year and a half. Still didn't have a job, and then, like I said earlier, I've been in Football Manager streams pretty much that whole time. Built connections with the people who were already streaming at that point. So when eventually that moment came where I was like, okay, do you want me to stream? A lot of the people that were already streaming that game, they all knew me. So I was getting raided, hosted, left, right, and center. Like the first 4 months, the first 3 months that I streamed were kind of the slow start off, but I think after the first 3 months, I think I was already close to 1,000 followers. And then in January of 2016, it really, leaped off. At that point, I also introduced Patreon because subscription wasn't a thing back then. And with that, I started a monthly thing. At that point, it was still possible to do 1v1s on Football Manager. And what I did was, if you became a patron, of course, we had our monthly giveaway. If I would get money in, that money pretty much would go back. It's still the same way. Like every single time that I get a payout from my subscribers, it's free $20 gift cards go to the subs, and one $20 gift card goes to my followers. That will always stay that way. Like it's like what Azumatt says. The money that comes in, it pretty much all goes back. And people will come back. But I think one of the major things that is really important when you're streaming is to be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else, because people eventually will see through that and will be like, this is fake. This is not who he is. And it will show. It might not show the first week, it might not show the first month, but eventually people will find out. And it's very, very important to just stay yourself and just do your thing. Do your thing, have fun, and interact with the people that are coming to your stream. It's, for me, it's one of the major things. Like if I see somebody come into my stream saying hi, I kind of want to be the person that says welcome or hi first. If my mods do it afterwards, hey, amazing. But I kind of want to be that person. Okay. And people will see that you're doing that, and people will be like, hey, he noticed me right away. And things like that. And it also depends on the games that I'm playing. I will say this, like most of the time, like Football Manager, Russian Fishing, they're slow-paced games. It's a lot easier to do stuff like that than when you're playing PUBG or another shooter. It's a lot harder to pay that constant attention to your chat. But interaction with your chat, giving back to your community, make sure that they know that you're there for them as much as they are there for you as well. It was just last night. I had a moment, and I was like, you know what? And I made a post, and I just let them know, you guys had my back for 3 years. If you ever have a problem, don't hesitate to come to me if you need to talk or anything. And, you know, I came back this morning to my Discord, and I see love and stuff like that. It just means that, you know, sometimes it's just let them know that you're there for them as much as they are there for you. It's really, really important. And the numbers will come. It may take time, but eventually it will work for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, chat saying stuff, that's great too. Pudek and Devoid and everyone. It really is just about making friends. I mean, you think about the people you'd like to watch yourself on Twitch. If you watch Twitch too, for me, it's like good friends that you've either known a long time or just met through Twitch who, like, you really would like to hang out with that person outside of Twitch, right? So trying to foster that connection is so important for growing your first, really just core group of users. That doesn't scale to thousands and millions of viewers, but you can absolutely do it with like 100 people or 10 people even to start with. I think that is just the best way, because that's how people are going to want to come out and watch your stream consistently. And you're not doing any sort of like shady advertising or marketing or selling out or whatever. You're literally just making friends who want to come watch you. It's no magic formula to it. That's all it is. So I totally agree with that. And I thank you for that question, Gringa.
There you go.
I was literally about to say Grinja again. Got it right this time. Thank you for that. It was really good, just one-on-one, I think, on the basics and really like the stuff people need to be reminded of. I think even people have been doing it for a while, of like what streaming is all about, because you can get caught up in like having all the right branding and having a schedule and, you know, strategically choosing these games and using a certain network. But like at the end of the day, like that is the core of streaming. It's just making real friendships, being real on Twitch, and just having people want to come out and really just meet you and watch you and be friends with you. So it's all about. Great question. I saw another one somewhere here. So Dreamtrip, you linked one, but you didn't mention who asked it on the Discord. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head.
The bonus stream last Saturday, I believe.
Any idea who asked that one?
That is Lightweight Lander.
Okay, Lightweight. So Lightweight said, I did a bonus stream on last Saturday. I normally do Sunday to Thursday. The stream averaged double my normal numbers. Do you think I should maybe begin to use this as a normal stream day? I also promoted this on all social media, but I don't want to overdo this so that each post actually grabs the attention of my followers. I converted my personal social media to my Twitch social media so that I'd be able to start with many followers. So basically, he had a very, very big bonus stream that worked very well outside of his normal schedule. And should he try to incorporate that time slot into his normal schedule? What do you guys think about this one?
I think he should. Test it out. Is it going to be that way every single week, or was it a one-time thing? But what you have to keep in mind, and this is probably one of the reasons as well why it's busier. Like on Saturdays, it's always busier. People stay up later on Saturday. Like they don't have to worry about work. And I see that most of your streams are on days before a work day. So people don't stay up as late. I don't know what time zone you're in, but it might be the reason why there were more people on Saturday, because more people were available to watch at that time. I think that is probably a good point. But if you definitely see a change in numbers that big, I would definitely try and make that one of your days to stream, because that will connect you to the people that are watching you at that time. And if they're connecting to you, that means that they probably will come back for your other streams as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Azumatt, I think we talked about this one last week, maybe. But do you
something similar, yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts on this one overall?
I think bonus streams are a good choice, but just because, as Dreamtrip says, just because it works once, test it out, make sure it's actually working. Or if you know, maybe that day, like enough people auto-hosted you, maybe, you know, maybe it was particular to that weekend that nobody had anything to do, so they're just like browsing and whatever, you know, luck may have it. But I think test it out, see if it's consistently working, and if you have that time availability, do it. Just guarantee that you can always be there if it becomes like a permanent thing. If not, I would change it in your schedule to say, hey, like Saturday is a bonus stream. May or may not happen.
Yeah. I think you shouldn't like get too stressed out about it, or like don't like set that as a standard of your stream going forward. Where like let's say you had, I don't know your numbers, but let's say you had like a 10 average viewer number or something, and then that one day you get like 25. Don't feel like, you know, for every stream after that you get 10, like, man, I'm never gonna get back to those glory days. Like, it's not the same. I should be streaming this day. Like, if you can't fit that into your schedule, then don't stress about it. I think even if like yes, the viewers are better, like you're just gonna drive yourself crazy at the end of the day by stressing about that. So I think that's an important line to walk. But if you can work it in, then I don't see any reason not to if it's working, and if you can commit to it consistently, like Azumatt said. So
yeah,
awesome, good question, and congrats on the success, dude. Hope it continues for you. So, did you have something to say?
No. Right, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
So Small Panda said, were there any scary hurdles you had to get over for streaming? If so, how did you jump over them? So are there any like big roadblocks you had prior to streaming, guys? I know Dreamtrip, you kind of talked about your backstory before streaming. Azumatt, do you maybe want to talk about, like, just to start with, what your prior streaming experience was like before you started to hit live, and any big issues you had to deal with going forward?
My big issue is I had to do a lot of research before I started streaming, just to figure out how it works, what people are kind of expecting. Like I did a lot of watching other people's streams, figuring out how they're doing things, like what's happening, what Twitch was as a whole. So before I actually started hitting the start streaming button, or, you know, streaming in my case from my console, I was looking at what people are expecting when they tune in, because viewers are expecting something. Like streamers, they might not be expecting anything when they hit the start streaming button. Some of them, you know, they hit the start streaming button. It's like, dude, I'm going to make like $300 today, and I'm just going to play games, and I'm going to be awesome. And then you have other streamers that just hit the button, and they're like, let's see what happens today. Like, let's see if I can make a friend. Let's see if, you know, what in general just happens. And what I had to do was a lot of research on how to get started streaming, what people were expecting, you know, just in general, like what settings to do. Like the settings initially was one of my biggest hurdles. I was trying to stream initially off of a small laptop that couldn't handle it. So I was trying to dumb down the settings to where I can at least stream in some kind of quality. It might not be the absolute best, but at least it was consistent and people could actually see what's going on. That was one of the biggest hurdles, is to get all of the settings correctly. Just set up in general.
Yeah, the tech stuff.
Still, that is sometimes an issue, because like you can play a game that's, in my case, like Neverwinter, super loud, and the game volume's at like 60%, and I'm messing with the PC volume and in general of what stream hears. But then I turn around and play PUBG, next thing I know, it sounds like it's on 2. And they're just like, why is your game so low? You know, and that's the thing, is you're always, as a streamer, you're going to be messing with settings. So I recommend looking up as many YouTube videos, tutorials, whatever, to figure out how to make that an easier process.
Right.
Make it easier to change settings, make it easier to, you know, mess around with OBS, kind of, you know, Streamlabs, OBS, slobs, whatever. Just figure out, kind of work the ins and outs, use your free time that you might have that you're not streaming, to test things out, mess around with stuff. Just before you do any of that, write down the settings that you currently have. It's a big thing. That was one of the major things that happened to me, is I didn't write it down, and I was like, it's broken. I can't go back. I don't know how. So I had to start from scratch. And that's one thing, is that if you're going to experiment, write stuff down. Write down your settings, like your exact stuff.
Take a picture.
Like for voice meter, like I have specific settings for certain games that I have written down, that I'm like, okay, this game is not as loud as this game, so I got to turn this to, you know, 0 decibels, and then instead of the -16 or whatever on voice meter. And I just have that set for specific games. Like my microphone, during the beginning of this podcast, it was working fine. We tested it out yesterday. It's awesome. Tuned in the podcast today. Hey, you sound a little overblown. And like, oh my God. Like I've been working with my microphone so much.
Sounds
settings
good now.
is going to be one of the biggest settings in general is one of the biggest hurdles for me. Is because I'm constantly changing them and constantly fixing them. And it does depend on the game that you're playing usually. So I don't know. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that I think hopefully in the future can not be a hurdle for me anymore.
Yeah, I think it is getting easier for people overall who are new to it because programs are getting better. There's more guides out there and things like that. So that's good. Dreamtrip, how about you? Did you have any big hurdles you had to get through before you started streaming?
Before I started streaming, no. Like I said, it was pretty easy. Streamer, I had a friend. He went over the settings and it worked. Like Azumatt is saying, sound is always a thing. Like, it also depends on your viewers. Like, for some people, you might sound amazing. For others, the sound is too low, too loud, you know. Always trying to find that median. So, yeah, while streaming, there's always hurdles. I think one of my biggest hurdles over the 3 years that I've been streaming is making sure that you get the interaction with the chat. And a lot of self-doubt when, you know, it's not happening. That to me was by far the biggest thing, to the point where I've literally thought a couple of times, I can't do this no more. I'm done with it. I don't enjoy sitting in the chat room talking away and not getting anything back from the chat. Like I said, it was one of the reasons why I also switched to Russian fishing. The community is talkative. Maybe I'm still a little too quiet during the streams. I don't know. But, you know, I think every stream has their quiet moments from time to time. Just make sure, I just want to make sure for myself that it's not like constantly. And, you know, at times it's tough. But, like I said, having a community that is there for you, having your regulars there that are willing to talk, it is so important. Like,
yeah.
But streaming is easy, but if you have to pull, like, a conversation with yourself every stream, day in, day out, it becomes very, very hard, especially when you're streaming a lot of hours a day, because eventually you will run out of things that you can talk about. Yeah,
absolutely. I think those are some of the big, like you're talking about current hurdles, which is another great conversation I think we should move into with Azumatt too. But yeah, in terms of like initial hurdles, I think Azumatt touched on one big one, which is just having the right tech, right? I mean, like literally there's a barrier to entry of price really to get a good stream. You can start with a console, that's an option, but most people I think want to do PC. So having like a PC that's good enough to stream and play a game, and then you gotta get a camera and then a microphone of some sort to start, so that can add up, and that I'm sure is a barrier. And then just knowing how to use all the tech is a whole nother issue. And then I think the other big issue is like being comfortable doing content, right? Or like seeing yourself on video and being in front of people, or just even having your mic in front of people and talking to people. Like that can be scary for a lot of people. That I know it sounds like none of us really dealt with when we started, so we're kind of fortunate in that way, but people do definitely deal with it. And I think that's something you have to kind of work through, or maybe just like push through when you start, because it does get less weird once you've been doing it for a while. And I think for everyone, it's a little weird when you start, but it's become so prevalent these days that I don't think it's as crazy as it used to be. So, yeah. But maybe Azumatt, do you want to talk about like a current hurdle that you're dealing with, or big ones that you've dealt with in your history? Go ahead.
I'm going to be a little bit transparent on this one. The current hurdle for me, honestly, is keeping the amount of people in my channel. That is the biggest hurdle for me, because I know right now a lot of people are taking breaks, they're taking vacations, it's summer, it's nice outside, and and keeping those people, you know, even while they're out with like family or at a dinner or something, like even just tuning in and saying, hey, keeping that interaction is actually really hard at the moment. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I'm experiencing right now, is just getting those people to come back during what they would consider like the busiest time for family. Because I don't want to take away from their family time, but I love seeing their faces there, and it definitely does show that they're not there. You know, like that can be, you know, maybe one day I'll hit the start streaming button and there's less people showing up, but there's more interaction. But the keeping the numbers, and that's something that Twitch, again, the reason why with Mixer I was like, I think that's a really good idea, is so people aren't doing that. But keeping the numbers right now is going to be kind of difficult. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I feel like a lot of people might be experiencing at the moment, just because everybody, pretty much no matter where you are in the world, is most likely on some sort of like personal life thing, like whether that's vacation or working a whole bunch because it's summer or something like that. And that's going to affect people as streamers in general. And that's one of my biggest current hurdles, is to keep them coming back, even if they're at work or even if they're out with family or whatever, even just stopping by and saying, hey. So
yeah, that's a good point to bring up, is like with summer, I'm sure it's like a mixed bag, right? Because on one hand, like you have kids out of school who are maybe watching Twitch, but at the same time you have vacations and jobs and travel, etc., that might get in the way of that. So even if maybe like you've put tons of hours and have like a great friend on Twitch or certain people who you just really connect with, like you can't stop them from going on vacation and taking weeks off the stream and etc. So I think as a small streamer, you can definitely feel that. So that definitely something to work through. Dreamtrip, do you have anything to add to that? Or you mentioned kind of already what you're talking about. Yeah. So yeah, guys, like I think this is a really cool topic though, because it shows you know, even streamers have been doing it for years are still dealing with things. Like it never, you're never there as a streamer early, right? There's always one more thing to go work at. One more thing to jump over, one more thing to improve on. So this is a cool, I think this would actually be cool to kind of talk about maybe every week with the guests, or maybe during the regular interview shows, just like what you're working on constantly. So I appreciate that question, Small Panda. That really turned out something really good. So we have like 20 more minutes on the show. I don't see any questions from the chat right now, so we'll kind of get ready to wrap it up. If you do have a question for me or the crew here, just tag at GreenChord in the Twitch chat, or join the Discord in the voice room if you want to get on. We'll take like maybe 5 more minutes to take questions, and then if we don't see any, we'll kind of wrap it up. But so while we're waiting for that, I had a couple topics here I wanted to talk about with you guys. Basically, is there anything you're experimenting with on your stream right now? So like maybe you're trying out, you know, in Dreamtrip's case, a different game. Maybe you're thinking about changing up your branding. Maybe you want to try a different schedule time slot, a different way of interacting with your viewers while off stream with like Discord, Twitter. What's something that you are kind of like experimenting with and tweaking with right now? You guys have any thoughts on this one?
Dreamtrip, do you want to take it, or?
Yeah, like you already mentioned, like I switched games, and like it's been really, really good. I think when you're streaming, you have to be happy with what you're doing. You have to be into the game, and yeah, I did lose followers when I made the switch. I got people that were subscribers that aren't anymore. But how do I feel at the end of the day? How is the stream progressing at the end of the day? Looking at that and making that change, it's all been for the better. Like, and everybody is saying it just, there's a change in you as well. So I think you always have to make sure that you're looking to improve where you can. If you have to make changes to get there, do it.
Yeah.
It is so important that you're happy with what you're doing. Like, we all have those moments where a game becomes, or streaming becomes more work than pleasure. And I think if that's the case, then it's time to change it at least up a little bit. Maybe if you're playing some game every single day, maybe switch it up with another game in there, stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and it looks like your experience has been going pretty well so far.
Yeah.
So, Azumatt, anything just real quickly that you're thinking of tweaking on your stream or playing around with?
I'm actually trying to go back to, like, I've been stuck in a rut of a lot of like FPS and stuff like that. And while that's part of my variety, it's slowly becoming kind of like my channel, and I didn't want that. Like, I am a variety streamer. I like MMORPGs, MMOs in general, and regular RPGs. So I've actually went back to the very first game that I ever streamed, which is Neverwinter in my case. I'm trying to go back to those roots. That way I'm not creating a thing for my channel where they always, tune in and expect a specific game, and that's not what I want. Like,
right.
As much as I love Overwatch and as much as I love, like first-person shooters in general, I don't want that to be what my channel is named for. But that's kind of something that I'm experimenting with right now, is finding games that I love, but while getting away from the FPS and seeing how my community takes it. And so far, they've actually taken it pretty well, because they're like, "Oh, we actually play this too." And I was like, "Wait, what? You guys do?" And that's the one thing I'm experimenting with right now, is to balance, because a lot of FPSs are the ones that are kind of coming out right now and getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people are playing. So I am experimenting with changing games up, kind of like Dreamtrip is, but in a more of a sense to where I'm playing less and not necessarily getting rid of it entirely.
Right. So both of you kind of tweaking your games and just seeing what that does for your channels overall.
Right.
Kind of restructuring your identities a bit around that. So nice. That's a good idea. Okay, so we have a flood of questions coming in. We probably won't have time to get to all of them, but I do want to go through the ones we have so far. So we had Lightweight Lander, who asked, green screen, super worth it or something to add later on? So this is a pretty simple question. Do you guys think green screen is necessary or not?
Look around. I've been around for 3 years, still don't have a green screen.
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, a lot of the times, like as you can see in the background, I was a Football Manager streamer, and as you can see, it's all football related behind me as well. So people were actually like, I don't want you to get a green screen. I like it the way it is right now because, it adds to the environment. So for me, it's definitely later on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not necessary. I don't think it's not like so important that it'll change your stream and make it night and day difference. I think it's cool to have if you can have it, and it is nice, especially in the case that you have like a bad background of some sort. Because I've seen some streamers who will just use webcam and it's like a disgusting background with like just really messy and dirty, and there's all sorts of stuff all over the place. If that's the case, green screen might be worth it, because that can actually turn off your viewers if you have bad stuff in the background. But in general, a green screen's not going to make a night and day difference on your stream, and it's really just up to preference. So, nice quick question. I appreciate that one, Lightweight. Ken Jarek, I think probably Ken Jarek, said, do you think that variety streaming helps or hurts your channel? Do you think getting known for one game is better at first? So this is interesting because it kind of piggybacks off of Azumatt. So aside from your own channels, in general, do you think that single game streamer is faster or slower than variety streaming growth?
I suppose I'll take the initiative on I wouldn't say it's faster. I would say it's different, because you're competing for a game directory versus competing as a streamer, in my opinion. And that seems kind of vague, but when you're streaming, like for instance, one of my favorite streamers, Professor Broman, like he started out playing nothing but Destiny 2, and then he started going into Realm Royale and stuff like that, and that affected his channel. Like a lot less people show up because that's not like his community, but he still goes back to that game. So when he streams that game, tons of people show up. And that's kind of what he wanted to do, was attack that game directory for Destiny or Destiny 2. And that be his game. So you're competing for the people in that game directory more so than you are competing as a whole on Twitch, because variety streamers are going to experience you're competing as a whole more so than you are competing as a specific game. I think that if you have a specific game that you can go back to, that is a good community to build off of. And maybe, you know, I start streaming a bunch of Neverwinter. Maybe that becomes like my sole game that I enjoy. And then I meet people that also like Overwatch or also like other games. And then like you can start doing like a community night for, you know, like Overwatch or for, you know, even Destiny 2. Just be like, hey, we're going to go do the raid on this night or something like that. Find a game that you love to play, that you can consistently play. And I think as a variety streamer, if that becomes a game that kind of takes over, just make sure that if you are trying to be variety, in order for it to not hurt you, try to find games that your viewers currently, which in the dashboard, they've added games that your viewers watch. Try to look into that. Are any of those games interesting you? See what your viewers are watching, what they're playing in general, and maybe take that into a game that you're interested in and stream it. So that way it doesn't hurt you as a variety person in general.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I don't know if Dreamtrip has anything on that.
It's a tough one. I started out with solely playing Football Manager, and I did that for almost, I would say, 2 years. And I got a good following for that. Thing is, if you're starting with that one game, like Azumatt was saying in his example, the moment you start adding different games to what you're streaming, it does hurt your channel. Because the viewers that are coming for your football managing, in my case, they might not be there for the other games that you're going to play, especially if it's completely something different. Like, if you're playing Football Manager and, for instance, FIFA 19 or whatever, you know, it's a lot easier to keep the same viewers than when you're streaming PUBG and Football Manager. Like, people that are into the Football Manager might not be in the PUBG. The people that are in PUBG might not be in Football Manager, and so on. So, getting known for one game and then wanting to go to variety streaming, I think it's hard. I think if you're starting as a variety streamer and just do your thing and eventually find a game that really suits you, I think that is probably the best way to go. Because then you've done your variety, people know that you're streaming different games, and then when you find your niche, you can always go back to that niche, but at the same time you can keep doing your variety stuff at the on the side.
Yeah, it's a really tricky balance to walk.
Yep.
And I think you again have a really interesting case, and because you've actually had some times when you have like focused on one game for a while, and then done variety, and then go back to one game. So I think it's interesting because the question is which is better, and I don't think that one is really better than the other. Like Azumatt said, they're just different. I think if you take two games that are about the same size on Twitch in Directory, you know, if you're not taking like a Fortnite, for example, but maybe you're streaming one game like a Russian fishing or something like less saturated and streaming that consistently, I would argue that on average that channel will grow faster than a channel that streams a lot of different games. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's not really, that doesn't address whether it's better or not, because better could mean better for you, better for just literally growing your followers, better for what? Because like some people in chat are saying, maybe you get burnt out of a game, like if you're streaming Detroit or something. And yeah, theoretically it grows your channel faster, but you hate yourself and you want to stop streaming. In the long run, that actually shoots you in the foot more because you can't stream it anymore. So it's really a matter of what you want to do. If you can stomach a certain game, if you find a certain game that you really like, and you think you have a growth plan for it, and it's not going to get lost under thousands and thousands of other Fortnite streams, that could be an option. But if variety is just more your thing and you like streaming a lot of games, then I say go for it. You can grow as a variety streamer. It is possible, I promise. So, but good question, and I appreciate that one. lots of stuff going in the chat that I can't read out right now, but I can see all the smirks and giggles, so it's good. We have one more.
They're commenting on my couch again.
Oh yeah, it's a very interesting couch you got there, sir.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so last question here from Tiffany Plays. Tiffany, I love that name actually. Says, can not having a sub ritual that you do whenever you get a new sub hurt you? Is it important or irrelevant in your opinion? So I actually don't know about you guys with your channels. Do you guys have any sort of sub ritual when you get a sub, like whether it's a dance or like you put them on a board or something, or put them in somewhere or celebrate somehow? Do you guys do any of that?
The only thing I do is I have my wheel to reward them for subbing. They can get in-game currency for it. Chance of getting between 1,000 and 20,000 of the currency. Other than that, no. It's like I read a little bit in the conversation that went on after that question in the chat as well. You're there to stream and provide content, and some of the rituals that I've seen, I'm literally like, what in the hell are you doing? Like,
yep.
It's like people said in stream. Like, it becomes a forced thing, and it's not you. Because would you literally normally do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is most likely no. And that's why I'm like, no. I don't think that it will hurt you as long as you acknowledge the sub and show them that it's appreciated. I think that's the most important part, whether you have a ritual or not.
Mm-hmm. I will say, follow-up question, when you added that little perk for subbing, did you notice like an increase in subs overall, or just increase in the channel overall?
No, I did not.
Okay, interesting. Azumatt, do you have any sort of ritual when you get a subscriber?
No.
Okay.
Not really. I don't have it when it actually happens. I more or less, I focus more on the actual benefit of doing it versus my reaction when it happens, other than, you know, I had somebody subscribe last night for pretty much the amount of time. Like 2 days ago was my 1 year as an affiliate. So that is something that was interesting, to have somebody come into my channel last night that was subscribed for 10 months. And I was just like, you've been subscribed for almost as long as I've been an affiliate, and I want to give back to you in a way, but like, I don't have that reaction, so to speak, when stuff happens. And that's something that I could work on. You know, when streaming, always progress, always get better. But I focus on like the actual benefit of hitting that button, what you get out of it, more so than, do you see me do something stupid, or do I, you know, get up and dance and do a chicken dance, or do what Sodomi does and have like little nipple tassels and just dance around. And
I did not know that.
I can't do that. Like, that's not in my personality.
Gonna have to review Sodomi after this one.
Tassels? Hang on.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
go ahead.
I don't really have anything. I don't really have anything that happens when it goes down, you know?
Yeah.
I'm more focused on what happens after, you know, just because like you can hit the button and I could be like super hyped for it, but then what are you getting out of it?
Sure.
Like,
well,
what was that other than my nipple tassels? You know, just like,
do you think
it's a good idea? It helps, but it's just something that I haven't fully implemented yet.
So you do think it helps though, in general, on channels?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
Yes.
Dreamtrip seems to be on the other side. Well, actually, Dreamtrip, do you think it helps in general, and you just don't like it?
In general, yeah.
Okay.
I don't like it, but I know that there are people that are literally subbing because somebody is doing something crazy on stream. I do think that.
I think in general, like having some sort of sub ritual is fun for the chat, and like the majority of people, it probably helps the channel more than it hurts it. But there's also like different sides to that, because, you know, like Dreamtrip, for example, you might actually turn off some viewers by having a sub ritual like that. Like if I go into Sodomi's stream, we're just gonna like pick on Sodomi here and see that, I'm like, I'm not subbing to this guy because I don't want to see that again. Like that could backfire actually. And there's also like the idea, I always think of like the dancing monkey phenomenon, where like everyone to an extent on Twitch is sort of like playing to the viewers as a dancing monkey, and it's like how far you want to go in that spectrum, whether you want to like literally just like sell out for the viewers or you just don't want to react at all. So there's like an integrity piece to it too. So I don't know. I would say in general, yes, it's probably good for your channel. Is it going to hurt you to not have it? No, it's not going to make a huge difference, but at some point it'd be worth thinking about, I think. But really good question. We've not had anyone talk about that before, so I appreciate you bringing that one up. And with that amazing endings of the podcast, that is going to be where we're going to cut it for today. So I appreciate everyone who came out, who asked questions, who called in. Everything, really good episode. And if we didn't get to your question this week, we will get it next week, so don't worry. I want to thank you guys both, Azumatt and Dreamtrip, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you want to say anything to your fans, people in the chat, where they can find you, etc.?
Yeah, I do want to thank everyone that's here for tuning in. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dreamtrip, and on Twitter @Dreamtrip77. And everybody that's normally in my channel that's here, thank you very much for coming out, and hope to see you guys later on when we're getting some fishing on.
Oh yeah, some Russian fishing even.
Yep.
Azumatt, your turn, man. Anything to say?
For me, you guys can obviously, most of my stuff is Azumatt with 1 extra T or 2 extra T's, but it's 2 generally. You can find me Azumatt Gaming on Twitter, /Azumatt AZUMATT on Twitch. Those are the best places to get in touch with me. You can also find me in general other platforms, but you have to tune in to be able to figure out all those because they do change a little bit. But PlayStation so far is the only one that they don't let me change, sadly. But pretty much everything's Azumatt. If you search it, most likely you're going to find me. So just saying. But you guys can check me out. I'm cracking up because the chat is something Dreamtrip said. Just I was about to lose it right there. Yeah, guys, that is the show. If you enjoyed it, I really hope you did. I'm going to post our Discord there. You can join in and see the rest of the show. We do this every single Friday, so you can come out and ask questions and call in. That one's too much. I'm just going to title this.
That was definitely too much.
Yep. This one will be titled Nipple Tassels. So great episode, everyone. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the subs and bits, people who donated. That was really appreciated. Doc's going to be coming on in just a couple minutes, like right after this, so stay tuned. And I'm going to just stand under a fan right now. Hold on.
Wow, he needs to get hard nips.
We'll see you guys next week live on the channel Thursday and Friday, as usual. I think we're going to have a character streamer on next Thursday, so that'd be really fun for an interview. And nice. Yeah, that's going to be it. So I will see you guys later, and have a good day. Adios.
Have a good one.